jail hustlers, killers, murderers, drug dealers, even the strippers. Jesus walks with them. To the victims of welfare, for we living in hell here. Hell yeah. Jesus walks with them. Now hear me, wanna see thee more clearly. I know he hear me when my feet get weary, cause we're the almost nearly extinct. We rappers as role models, we rap, we don't think. I ain't here to argue about his facial features. We're here to turn atheists into believers. I'm just trying to say the way school need teachers, the way Katherine needed Regis, that's the way I need Jesus. So here go my single dog, radio nieces. They say you can rap about anything except for Jesus. That means guns, sex, lies, videotape. But if I talk about God, my record won't get played.
Hello and welcome to Misunderstood, a show for all you culturally and politically misunderstood ladies and gents. We are your hosts.
I'm Kat.
And I'm Nat. And today we're going to be doing a deep dive into Kim Kardashian and Kanye West's relationship, formerly Kim Ye. We're going to be talking about surrogacy and some of the ethics behind it. And then, of course, we're going to talk about our favorite trans swimmer, Leah Thomas. But first, we're going to start things off with our patented culture shock moment of the week. Take it away, Kat.
So this is Happy Never Wearing a Mask Day again, right? The culture shock today is we get to look at your beautiful faces in public in Ontario. This is a huge milestone for us. I have been not wearing a mask for a long time, but I'm really excited for others to join in the fun.
Yeah.
I'm excited about it, except I've seen a lot of masks
I was
even
just
this
going to
morning.
say, I went for a run at like 7 a.m. this morning.
Wow, what a humble brag.
And I'm super fit. No, but actually so many people were outside, not just wearing a single mask, a double one.
Stop it.
A double mask. And I think we should pray for these people because the fact that they are still scared 2 years in is just, it's sad. It actually makes me sad.
It makes me sad. I suggest people be the maskless face they want to see in the world.
I think that's beautiful.
Thank you.
It's almost as if you were listening to some Kanye West earlier. He also writes beautiful music, but he has had a sad, beautiful, tragic relationship with ex-wife
like
Kim Kardashian. It is, and even though they butt heads. I think they're more connected than they give themselves, than they admit, rather.
Yes.
So we're going to go through a timeline of their relationship and do a deep dive into Kim and Kanye, who, as we've mentioned on the show before, are the former first family of the United States of America.
With respect. Yes.
With respect, yes. So where should we begin?
Well, let's start at the very top. So we have devised a little timeline here. The two met in the year 2000 when Kim Kardashian was an assistant to singer Brandy.
Interesting.
I did not know that.
I didn't know that either.
Kanye apparently was super taken by her.
Right.
I mean, have you seen 2002 Kim when she had her original body parts and face?
And her when she would look like a human.
Yeah,
she was beautiful. That's interesting too, because I started watching Keeping Up with the Kardashians at the onset of the pandemic, and when you see them around this time, they have all this money, but they don't have taste. Like, they have no taste. So when you see, like, you really slowly see the transition when Kim and Kanye meet, just how cool she becomes and how like trendy and fashionable. Yeah. It's hilarious. So thank you.
That's a good point about her taste.
Kanye.
Yeah, she does make a mention about when they started dating was, well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But she says something about how he always really respected his fashion choice and taste and whatever. So she was probably dating up in the style department.
Yeah, I mean, and good call, girl, because it worked out for you. You look amazing.
So they dated other people, but remained friends. Kim Kardashian actually got married to that guy.
Basketball player?
Yeah, for like 72 days or something.
Yeah, Chris Humphries.
Yes. Apparently, though, she said part of why that marriage didn't work out was because she was already texting Kanye.
Oh my gosh, he was sliding in her DMs like I slid
he had
into
wanted her
Pete's.
the whole. He had wanted her, I think, since they met. But they
he
dated.
was respectful.
Yes, and Kanye actually mentioned it in a couple of lyrics of a song. Like when she was married to Chris, is that his name?
Yep.
He wrote a lyric that was like, "Go on, girl, do your thing. Like I'll be waiting," something or other.
So weird to note that Chris is her mom's name.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry, you just like hearing you say that, I was like,
that's like
they're spelt the same.
That's kind of like Michaela Peterson. She's engaged now to someone named Jordan.
Michaela Peterson.
Just kidding. Narcissist. No, her fiance's name is Jordan.
That's creepy.
Super creepy.
I don't know. It's a little creepy. Anyway, sorry.
Whatever.
We'll move on from that.
So they started dating in 2012 and had their first child, North, in 2013.
Right.
That was an unexpected pregnancy. Kanye West has gone on the record as talking about how they discussed abortion, and it was actually Kim who pushed to have the baby. And he says now, of course, he's like so
Pro-life.
grateful. Yes, he's super pro-life, and he's like so grateful. She was mortified at this revelation. I'm sure it's kind of hard for the kid to hear that, like for North to be like, oh.
And also, it's just, I mean,
it's kind of private.
It's nobody's business. Yeah, regardless of what you think about abortion, like it's someone's private decision, and he should not be speaking out about that on her behalf. It's wrong.
Sounds like he didn't consult her. It was when he was had a brief presidential run, which we forgot about until I started doing the research for this episode.
I remember I saw a tweet about that, and he tweeted like he got a decent amount of votes, but he didn't get a vote from his own wife, and that stung. That hurts.
Yeah. Right. So
she voted for Trump. Just kidding. I don't know.
Maybe.
So they got married in 2014. And it's kind of funny because I was reading about this, and they landed a cover in Vogue, and I guess she'd never been on Vogue before, so he was the one that got her on the cover. Basically.
Oh my God! And now she like is Vogue.
She is Vogue. So thanks, Kanye. Like
again,
I mean, he's really helped her build her empire.
Yeah. I didn't realize that. Yeah. They had their second child in 2015. Yeah. That one was a hard pregnancy for Kim, and I remember seeing pictures of her, and she was in rough shape, but she went through like I'm pretty impressed that she decided to keep her first kid, which is I would encourage, and then even though her pregnancy was hard, she went and had another one. Okay, so then things changed a little bit. In 2017 they had their third child, but that was via surrogate. So we're going to talk about surrogacy later in this episode. Yeah, there's a lot.
It's not really about her so much.
Not about her specifically, but it's important to note. And then in 2019, they had their fourth and final child, and it was also by surrogate.
Oh, also important to note, 2018 was when he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And that's kind of when we started to see a shift, I think, in their marriage. And you guys might think this is boring, but it's all relevant. We're going to have a juicy discussion about all of this. It's just, we're just trying to set the stage.
You got to let this, lay the land. Exactly. So that's a good point to note, because in 2019, Kanye becomes born-again Christian, which some people, I know that's up for debate by certain Christians, are like, no, he's not. And then some people are like, yeah, he's always been, like, his first, since the beginning
Jesus
of his
walks.
Yeah, like his music has always had like a gospel rhythm to it, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's Christian. So there's, how do you look into someone's heart and decide whether or not they love God?
Right.
Like, that's not my decision.
It's not. I agree with you. And so much of their relationship, all that we know about it is what we read on TMZ. Like, there's so much behind the scenes, behind closed doors. But I think your actions do speak louder than words. And I think some of his actions have kind of made it seem like, oh, maybe he's not fully invested in his faith. But at the same time, too, like, Israel, the definition of Israel means to struggle with God, which means that's a lifelong journey. So we can't really speak to his salvation. All we can do is pray about him.
Yeah, you could say the same thing about me. You could be like, oh, like, look at these decisions she's made in her life. That means she's not really Christian. It's like, that's fair for you to make that judgment, but also like not completely accurate.
It's a journey. It's a lifelong journey. It's, it's, we can't judge people with where they're at.
So 2019, they're still happily married. Kim talks on The View about how Kanye was hosting street church and had all these like pastors coming through. And it was like, we know something about street church pastors, like Arthur Pulowski.
Oh, yeah.
Then, they renewed their vows in 2019. So they're still happily married, I would assume.
Yeah.
Same, like that. Either that's something that you do when you're struggling and you try to renew your faith in each other, maybe, or you're just like really happy and you want to renew your vows. Although it's kind of, they've only been married for 5 years at that point, so it's like that's a Hollywood marriage timeline.
Yeah, and I guess that's this. When he became a Christian, I don't think she kind of made that decision for herself. So I think that's when they started to see tension in their marriage, because he had a different view on how they should be parenting their kids, like something about taking TVs out of their rooms, which, by the way, they're all so young. They don't need TVs in their room.
How big are those TVs?
Yeah. Like, can
you have to get it uninstalled from the wall, Daddy.
Yeah.
Like, it's built into
it's a movie theater.
Yeah.
And then something about North, who I guess was very young at the time, putting on makeup, which, I mean, we put on, I assume we put on makeup when we were kids.
Yeah.
But I guess he just wanted to
maybe not wearing out.
Exactly. Like, I think he just wanted to preserve the fact that she is a child.
Yes,
and
which is a normal thing for a dad to do.
It's a normal response. And I think, again, we don't know what's going on behind closed doors, but I kind of think she should be on the same page with him as a parenting choice about that.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that the whole world knows about these like intermarital squabbles.
Yes.
It's kind of weird. Most of us would keep that private.
Yeah.
So 2020, Kim admits that Kanye's faith was becoming a problem for their relationship. this is when things were really take a downward spiral.
Yeah,
for them.
and I read a quote. If I can just read
Do
it.
share.
This divorce is happening because Kim has grown a lot, a source told Page Six in January. She's serious about taking the bar exam and becoming a lawyer. She's serious about her prison reform campaign. Meanwhile, Kanye is talking about running for president and saying other crazy shit, and she's just had enough of it. But it's like, okay, but that kind of seems selfish to me.
Yeah.
Like, I know he's an artist. He's all over the place.
He's a visionary.
He is. He's a genius. But like, it just seems kind of like me, you know? And
Yeah.
it doesn't seem like you did exchange vows with this person. And she goes on later to say that like you cannot, there's no way they can remedy the marriage. And I just don't believe that's true. I think you just didn't try because,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, that's a good point. Because it was they got married in 2014, and then 6 years later, there's there's nothing we can do. It's
That's what I mean. And you have 4 beautiful children
Yeah.
together. Like, they're literally the first family of the United States, and you can't work through it because you want to be a lawyer now? Like,
yeah, for every kid you have, you should add a couple years extra to the
Yeah.
time you try to save your marriage.
yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I just thought that was interesting. And then she talks a lot about how like her family would say certain things and stuff. And it's like when you're married, you leave your mother and father and become one with your wife, like biblically, you know? So it's like, why are you listening to Chris?
Yeah.
Like
she's kind of a devil. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, that's not a fact. Like,
It is a fact. No.
but
Yeah.
she's like not. I mean, I would be mad at my mom if she did to me what she did to Kim. Obviously, she put her on the world
sex tape.
stage. The sex tape, releasing of the sex tape, like
Yeah.
that's kind of dirty.
It's not a loving
Even
thing
if
to do.
even if Kim wanted her to do it, I would hope my mom would be like, no, we're gonna take it to Mount Doom and throw it in the fire.
Yeah, I
Like,
think that's
what you do as a
natural
sex tape.
response for your
Yes,
child.
yes.
Yeah. Or just don't make one. But like if you do,
Well, come on. We're trying to be realistic.
yeah. That's true.
So in 2020, Kanye announced his presidential campaign. We kind of touched on that already.
And then that's when they decided to separate.
Yes, and that was the end. 2020, that was the end.
Yes. She filed for divorce in 2021. And I think,
Immediately
yeah,
starts dating Pete Davidson.
which I don't know. Was she blinded by like past trauma or something?
Or
like
his handsomeness?
she was blinded by his talent. He's so funny.
So
He's
good looking.
cute.
Yeah. You know, I noticed something when I was doing my research here. So Kim and Pete Davidson shared a kiss on that Saturday Night Live episode.
Well, Kanye was in the
Oh,
audience.
yeah. Okay, so that's a whole thing.
Yeah.
But she was dressed up as Jasmine from
yeah.
Aladdin. When Kanye and Kim met, it wasn't their first meeting, but it was really, really early on. And Kanye West was doing some like sketch comedy, and
Okay.
Kim Kardashian was playing Princess Leia.
Okay.
And I'm like, so she gets in a costume and then just falls in love with whoever she's like doing the scene with. I don't know, if you're trying to date Kim Kardashian, give her a cartoonish costume,
Disney vibes?
Disney
Yeah.
vibes, and then kiss her, and then
Yeah.
she'll be yours for at least 6 years.
Well, that's good. We should write a book about that.
Yeah. It's just a funny little comparison.
Who would have thought? But
And now in 2022, they're officially divorced.
yeah, and now she's dating Pete and they're flaunting their relationship online. And by the way, folks, he's 28 years old. She's 41?
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah, she looks 16, so I guess it makes sense.
It's so common for men to date women 20 years younger than them, especially in Hollywood. Like, hello, Leo, I'm talking to you.
yeah, which is gross, by the way, Leo.
Yeah, like even people who are like happily married to their wives, the wives are like 10, 15 years younger
Yeah.
on average. I'm making up that stat, but it's like you see it all the time.
I would argue though that it's mostly because men take longer to mature. So when a woman dates older, it's because she wants to be with a real man, not some guy living in his mom's basement.
That's a good point.
Whereas like women, we develop earlier, like we're more mature.
Yeah, I
we
can see
tend to
that.
be.
There
and
is
of
a
course-
trend for a reason. It's
Yeah.
not that it's sexism, like
necessarily.
yeah.
But Leo.
It's preference.
Leo.
Yeah, but now she's dating a man that looks like he lives in his mother's basement.
He does.
He looks bad.
Yeah, and not only does he look bad, he now also has like a physical branding of
Yes.
Kim's name.
So that was last week, I think
Yeah.
that was revealed, that he had Kim's name branded on his chest, like branded, like
Yeah.
like a cattle.
Like,
so sick.
that's like seems kind of permanent to me. I don't know. Like
Important to note, though, he also has a tattoo of Hillary Clinton's face on his body. So, you know, his body's not prime real estate.
true. So
I
he
would
doesn't
say.
honor his body.
No,
is
yes,
what we're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's it. But it is interesting that she's moving on so quickly and so publicly. Like, I mean, she does have children, and like she is in the public eye, so every move she makes is going to be known by the public.
But they also go out on those like paparazzi dates, and they're like holding each other's hand. Like they could avoid that. They could just stay on their like $1 million compound.
Yeah,
and,
like her house is like probably like a bajillion
like,
square feet.
Have you ever seen a picture of her like without any makeup or on the toilet or something? Like no, she has privacy in her life. So she could obviously be dating Pete in the private space. Now, I know that Kanye West has asked that she not introduce the kids to Pete Davidson. How do you know if that's true? Like, I guess you ask your kid.
Yeah, I'm sure.
That can't last forever, though.
No, it can't last forever. And I mean, he should have a say in this conversation. Like, there's a lot of outrage because of their text exchange of Pete Davidson showing that he was in bed, and he claimed to be in bed with Kim. Anyway, super inappropriate.
Unsubstantiated.
Pete. Yeah. But, you know, people were like, oh, well, Kanye has no right to be mad about this. Well, yes, he does, because it's the mother of his children. They have a history. Like, it'd be weird if he wasn't mad. It'd be super weird. And by the way, he is not innocent either, though. He has been, you know, walking around town with Julia and...
Yeah, no, he's had 3 girlfriends in the time that she's had 1.
Exactly. So he can't really...
Yeah, no.
Like, he's being
like,
a little
was she not... Maybe he didn't introduce the kids to any of those girls?
I doubt it.
Yeah, like, maybe. We don't know. But the point is he's not, like, saying, like, I should be the leading by example here and not being out seen in the public eye with another woman. Like, he's not doing that either. So while she is totally flaunting Pete... He flaunted Julia Fox, and there was 2 other, and then his most recent, which I'm sure
looks like him.
Who looks exactly like him? What's her name?
I don't know. Kim Smardashian?
Maybe she's a little smarter. Or not. I mean, Kim is a lawyer.
Okay, so one of the other kind of articles that we had talks about how Kim likes to take the high road. Do we believe that?
Right. So that was, she said that on a daytime talk show, right? So she was talking about how like Kanye is making all these Instagram posts, and she's like, I'm taking the high road, but it's like you're saying that on a daytime talk show. Like
I'm such a good ex-wife.
Yeah, like I never like talk shit about my ex on social media. It's like, well, you're kind of doing it right now on TV.
Like you're making it look like you're taking the
I
high
guess
road.
it's degrees. It's like slight differences, and like maybe his is slightly worse.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, maybe. I mean, and by the way, I do think that we shouldn't be praising him for being outspoken about some of the stuff he's been outspoken about. I think he should really try to be more private about their divorce. I do think she has been.
Yeah.
I think she needs to tell Pete to shut the heck up.
Yeah.
And stay out of things because he's a teenager.
Out of things.
Yeah.
These people have children together. Like you can see her and do whatever you want, but like stay out of it.
Yeah, definitely. Like you don't need to defend your girlfriend.
Yeah, like that's again like not to use the sexist card, but I find it to be a little sexist that he thinks he needs to defend Kim to Kanye. Like, excuse me, they were married. Yeah. They know how to talk to each other.
And they've been friends for years.
They've been friends for years. She even said after their divorce had, well, I think been finalized, Kim said that he's an amazing or the best dad.
Yes.
So they had a pretty good relationship up until recently. Like she does not need you to unless she asked you.
Yeah. Which maybe she did.
I doubt it. She seems like she wants to speak for herself on these matters.
I just want to know why she's dating him, though. He seems like such a slime ball.
Because my guess is because Kanye found his faith, and then she is quoted as saying he's become really, really strict and religious.
Right.
So it probably went from like
removing TVs from his kids' room.
Well, there could be whip play. Yeah. I guess if there was crazier stuff, maybe we would have heard about it. But I can imagine, someone who's just finding their faith takes it a little too far and is like, you can't do anything. Everything is satanic. So it's like she's probably just trying to have some freaking fun.
Yeah. No, I understand that. And I mean, going back to like the whole God thing for a second, it was Kanye's job to be the spiritual example in their household, and he clearly wasn't because she didn't want any part of it at all. And I think that's probably why they ended up parting ways. They weren't equally yoked, but honestly, like he just didn't seem to be leading the household the way he's called to as a man of God. And so I do think he fell short there, and I think that does deserve criticism in a way. And so I do kind of sympathize with her a little bit in that regard
because
she didn't sign up for this.
Exactly. Like when they got married, he wasn't super religious. So to just like kind of, and again, I don't know his diagnosis, but he has technically been labeled as or diagnosed
publicly,
as bipolar
anyway.
Publicly.
Yeah.
So do I know what's going on in his brain? No. But if you're dealing with someone who's bipolar, he might be like super chill one day and it's like, oh, do you want to do this? Cool. And then the next day be like, that's, forbidden in the Bible. And she's like, whoa, where did that come from? Like that's, I'm just trying to take a stab in the dark here.
No, for sure. But you know, if the diagnosis was too much for her, like, I'm sorry, but that's too bad. So sad, Kim, because it's for richer, for poor, for better, for worse. You know, sickness and in health. So I mean, I don't know. There's so much that we could like discuss about all of that. I just the Pete thing. He just sucks.
Yeah.
He sucks. I think he's the real villain in the situation.
I agree totally.
Yeah.
I think he thinks that, I mean, he's kind of like one of those young girls who falls in love with a guy and she's like, this is it. This is totally it. And it's like, you're 16, calm down. Like he says that he has had other girls. He had Ariana Grande tattooed on his body as well. Bunny ears. It was bunny ears to represent her. So it's like, not the first time he's tattooed.
So it's not that flattering, Kim, that he branded your name into his
exactly.
chest.
Like you're more of a memento maybe. I think he genuinely, like I said, is like a little girl.
In his belt.
Yes. Literal notches on his skin.
Yeah. So gross.
And maybe he actually is like so delusional that he's like, yeah, this is the one, like this 20-year difference. Like probably I'm not going to give it more than 6 months to a year.
Well, they've technically been together a year, so 6 more months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, isn't my face red?
Yeah. I think that should be the culture shock.
Yeah, that is
every
shocking.
episode. Yeah, no, I think it will be a short-lived relationship.
Yes,
I think you're
so
completely
too.
right.
And then when that happens, you know, I don't think she's going to necessarily go running back to Kanye, but maybe it's going to be like, maybe I shouldn't have let him like make such a scene in front of the world about our private business. Yeah. Or maybe she's going to be like, great, I sold more lip glosses than ever that month.
I will be buying one. But, you know, that would be great if they got back together. Maybe we should ship that. I don't know.
I would ship that because, you know, I was, again, in my research, I've never done such a deep dive into Kanye in my whole freaking life.
I know. It's a lot, guys. We could spend the whole episode talking about this.
We might.
Yeah.
I actually gained a little bit of respect for Kim Kardashian, which previously I had zero respect for.
Yeah,
maybe like 5% because I was like, okay, yeah, like you have been, like, yeah, that's one thing.
She puts in the effing work, guys.
She freaking does the work. No, but like she's been the #1 female for years.
Yeah.
Like since I was in university, which is, you know, a little while ago. Like
Last year.
Yeah, just graduated.
Yeah.
She has been famous for so long, so she's obviously doing something right in terms like, do I think that selling your soul to the devil to become famous is the way to go? No. But she's doing something right in the scheme.
She sustained herself.
She's marketing herself well. So that's, you know, I guess respectable as a skill. She's done well business-wise.
She takes really nice selfies.
She basically invented like pursing your lips and like look like whatever. She's iconic, whether you like her or not. Yeah. Like even David Menzies was like Kim Kardashian. She broke the internet, and I was like, David, that was 10 years ago. But yes. Like,
she did.
She didn't break the internet, but look, we all know Kim Kardashian, like to pretend that she's not iconic is a little bit of cognitive dissonance, I think.
Yeah, and what we've talked about before, she has massive influence. So she's important. It's important to talk about people who can literally tell you who to vote for, and a crowd of people will vote for them. Like we need to have a critical eye on these people. But I think one more thing that maybe we should address is just the fact that I think Kanye West is a very good dad.
Yes, it seems... Yeah, again, like I mentioned of his bipolar disorder, maybe he doesn't always go about communicating things in the best way and like posting them on Instagram instead of talking to his family or lawyer. Yeah. Like he mentioned about North. He's like, this is my first divorce. How do I get North off of TikTok, basically? That's a conversation you should have with your child, the mother of your child, and your lawyer.
And that's assuming Kim is open to actually communicating with him, because we don't know either.
True.
Like, we just don't know.
Well, then talk to your lawyer about it and talk to your child about it. However, I totally agree with you. I think that based on the posts that he makes and the comments that he makes, whether he should make them publicly or not, it's very clear to me that he loves his kids. Like,
and he wants to protect them.
And that he loves Kim.
Yeah,
like, he still loves her. Based on what I've read, even up until 2021, he was saying like he wants a reunion with her.
Definitely.
People thought it would be uncool to be married. Then I got married, and people are like, "Oh, that looks cool."
No one ever thought it'd be uncool to marry Kim Kardashian. Everybody thought it would be cool to marry Kim Kardashian.
Well, not Chris Humphries. It's more than cool. It's more than cool as hell or something. It's heavenly. It's great. It's magnificent. And God is using me as a human being. You know, I as humbly as I could put it, he's using me to show off. Such a blasphemous statement to think that as a man you could perfect anything. God is the only thing that's perfect. So the only thing that can be perfect is God's plan. I get to work for God, and he about to show out. Kanye West works for God.
Can you lend me $1 million?
another example of how he is a stand-up dad, I think, is the fact that he did buy a house close by so that he could be a part of his kids' lives, because he knows that fathers are important. They're important figures, and him and North, I think, seem to have a really special bond as well. And so I think it's sweet that he's protective of his children, and he, despite his relationship with Kim, I think they both want to make it work for their kids, and I think that's really nice. But I just think Pete needs to get the hell out.
Yeah, I think they were doing a good job at that until Pete Davidson got involved.
And he stirred the pot with his weird text messages. And,
and the branding. They're going through a messiness right now, and the children are involved, and Kanye is obviously mentally unstable. Like, why get her name branded on you and show it? Like, just wear a shirt for a couple months until things have settled down a little bit.
I agree.
Also, just looking at the timeline here, Kanye West has basically loved Kim Kardashian for like 20 years.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
That's commitment.
You don't fall out of love with someone that you've loved for 20 years in 6 months or a year.
No.
And they're like, he should move on. It's like, he's in love with his wife, sorry.
Yeah. But then also, Kanye, stop dating people.
Yeah, no, you're not, he's not a beacon of morality himself.
But I do agree with you. I think like he's clearly committed.
He should get her name branded on him. Maybe that
might do it.
Maybe that might help.
Maybe he should dye his hair blonde and tell bad jokes, and that'll work too. We'll see.
Here's a quote from one of his IG posts recently. He says, "Divorce feels like full-blown COVID. Divorce feels like your doctor don't know SHIT," he wrote on the post. That's kind of like funny COVID-wise too.
Yeah.
It's like almost like the doctor doesn't know what he just injected into you.
Yeah, that is funny.
Yeah, and that's terrifying. So I feel bad for him because he's in a dark place.
He is, and I think we should pray for him. I wish that these people could handle this in a less public setting, but I guess this is what Kim Kardashian does to sustain her career on top, maybe. But yeah, we should pray for them. I think divorce is sad, and it's even more sad in this situation because it is on the public stage. And
yeah, Matt Walsh had a really funny tweet about this.
It's true. Yeah, let's pray for them, everyone. Pete Davidson, I know you're no longer going to space, but I wish you just get on that rocket and stay there. But yeah, we'll pray for you too, because you gotta.
Yeah, everyone needs a prayer.
Yeah, pray for your enemies. You're not.
I'm hoping that this cools down and that maybe in time they can reconcile their family, and that would be a really nice ending to this tale.
Yeah, and most importantly, I think it's just the children, as long as they are not harmed by this. I think that's the number one thing to hope for in situations like this.
Yeah, obviously we know that. I think the divorce rate's even gone up past 50% now.
Oh.
Let's just say it's 50%. Like that means like you have half the chance of messing it up and having children of divorced parents. I myself am a child of divorce. I'm all right.
She's great.
I just got over it.
Yeah. She's only 16
It's not ideal. Yeah, I know. It took 16 years to get over it. So it's not ideal, but you can still overcome. You can overcome these things, but it's sad. It messed me up for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, and imagine the pressure of being in the public eye as well. I just, yeah. So pray for
the kids.
The kids. Pray for Kim. Yeah. Yay. Kim Yay.
And I will not call him Yay.
No, me either. It's stupid.
I'm gonna be a name phobe about it.
I am too.
Okay. So another heavy topic.
Yeah.
This one. Okay. Do we want to preface it by why we're talking about surrogacy?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
This is a topical issue.
I think before we do that, though, this is a very controversial topic. We are not experts. We do not claim to be experts. We're still learning about this. And we do want to talk about this topic with compassion and love. Like, our heart is in the right place here, but
My heart's a little bit to the left of where it should be.
Right. We'll get that checked out later.
Close to the right.
Yeah, it's close to the right. But yeah, we just think that it's important to talk about this topic because the surrogacy industry is $1 billion industry.
Yeah, I did not know that.
Me either.
I did not know that until I started doing research yesterday. So again, this is all very, very new to me.
And there are great resources that we'll link in the description of the episode even, because I think it's important for you guys to do your own research. But this conversation kind of sprung because of Dave Rubin's announcement that him and his husband David are...
Whoa, Dave and David?
Yeah. Are going to be having 2 sets of babies in the summer. So that means 2 separate surrogates. And it was received
mixed
reviews
on that
on the internet.
Well, it's very interesting because Dave Rubin came from the left, and because of how crazy the left has become, he's been pushed over to. He calls himself a centrist, but by all, like most of his fans today are center right.
Yeah.
So now that he's made this announcement about his 2 babies from 2 different surrogates, the right is wildly divided on the topic.
Yes.
And that's kind of interesting because he might lose some fans. There might be.
Yeah. Well, I think that where the divide is, though, it's like the Christian conservatives and then the secular conservatives. And I think why we can't really, I mean, I'm a Christian conservative, and I think we can't really hold Dave Rubin to the same level of expectation as we would for other Christian conservatives, because he's just a conservative.
Like as we hold to ourselves.
Right,
I feel
exactly.
Like people forget that. Like,
yeah, definitely. But I mean, iron sharpens iron. We are called to speak the truth in love. And but I just think like we can't really be mad at him because he's not a Christian.
Yeah.
So whether you agree with him or not,
that's a really good point.
You know.
So, how do you feel about it?
Yeah. So I don't think that conservatives, Christians especially, should be applauding this, because I think that a child has a right to a mother and a father. I mean, we talk so much in society about the importance of like fathers in the household and how fatherlessness has been such a detriment to society. But
well,
what
they're
about
gonna have 2 fathers though, so they'll be double as.
But what about
successful.
motherlessness?
Yeah, JK.
Like, you know, I know it's true. And by the way, this
is
has nothing to do with them as parents. I'm sure they're going to be wonderful parents. They seem like beautiful people. I really like Dave Rubin, by the way.
Yeah.
But I do think that child has a right to a mother. And now, I mean, we'll get more into like what happens when you have a surrogate. And you know how that might impact a baby, and even the biological mother or the body that it's in, the surrogate, I guess.
Surrogate.
But yeah, I just think there's a reason, you know, God created man and woman to reproduce, and there's a reason that children are supposed to be born to moms and dads. It's the bedrock. The nuclear family is a bedrock for a successful society. So I do see the outrage there from Christians, Christian conservatives, you know. But again, like, he's not a Christian, so we can't hold him to that same standard.
Yeah, that's a good point. My only experience with surrogacy is from Friends when Phoebe was carrying her brother's triplets.
Kind of gross if you think about it.
Yeah, well, she had fun with that. She's like, oh, I'm carrying my brother's children.
Yeah, it's gross.
So I always thought that surrogacy, and this is going to show my ignorance on this, I literally thought, I knew that there were like companies that could set you up, but I really thought like most surrogates were like, oh, my sister here is going to carry my child to term.
Which is the case sometimes.
Okay, so that's
not like
that's how
modified.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's how I was like, so what? Because I did read that Dave Rubin has a sister.
Yeah.
And they were like, it might be a sister, it might be someone else. So it's like, that's kind of cute to me. And I'm like, if your sister wants to do that for you, she can still be in the kid's life. Like, she can still like sniff the baby's head and all that weird stuff. But having done research on this, I didn't realize that surrogacy is like $1 billion industry, like you mentioned. And also interesting little tidbit of information is that most babies that are surrogated, I don't know born from a surrogate mother are imported from the Ukraine.
Interesting.
And right now there are bombs and stuff going off in the Ukraine, so a lot of these surrogates have been put in bomb shelters.
Oh. So people can't go collect their babies.
Yes, and the babies are now stuck in a war-torn country with these like young mothers who are like in bomb shelters giving birth in like terrible conditions. So you know, obviously there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
Not every baby is born in a bomb shelter, but it seemed like the more research I did, the more I noticed that they were talking about the baby like a commodity. Like, how many rubber duckies have we produced this year? Well, how many babies have we produced? It's like, babies are not rubber ducks.
They're human beings.
Yeah, they're not iPhones. You don't just produce them and then ship them out to other countries for like rich white Americans who can't have their own. Like, that's
Chinese billionaires.
Yeah, that's pretty messed up when you think about a child being a commodity like that.
Well, child is an unconsenting subject in this experiment.
That's another good point.
They don't consent to this.
Why don't we talk about the that ethics, University of Birmingham's article on the ethics of surrogacy. So they pointed out 3 main points, and they kind of lead us through. We kind of touched on them already, but let's. So number 1 is surrogates. Like, how are these people being compensated? So surrogacy is a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week job for 10 months. Are the women being properly compensated? And B, is it moral to compensate someone for delivering a baby? This is moral question the first.
Yeah.
Then we have, how can we protect the autonomy of a woman's body if the customer has a say in the pregnancy decisions? This is big. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, so just kind of let's start with the first point here and just talk about that. So the commodity aspect. So that's one of the things, the argument you always hear is, oh, this person is consenting to this. But a lot of the times when you're consenting to this, maybe this person's under a lot of pressure to make a lot of money. They're not really given informed consent. These are very high risk pregnancies that can result in literal death of the mother and the child. And a lot of these people who are surrogates have kids of their own. So this person is risking their own life so that you can have a baby, just so you can rent their womb, so to speak. I think there's a lot of ethical issues there. We could talk about that alone for probably 2 hours.
Yeah, and you mentioned when we were chatting before about vaccination, because there's a big debate around pregnant women getting vaccinated or not, and say I'm the surrogate and I'm choosing not to be vaccinated, and the customer is like, oh no, you must be vaccinated. You absolutely must. And it's like, okay, I no longer have a say in what happens to my body.
Autonomy over
I have
your
no
body.
So as a well, it goes along with everything else I feel about morals. Like, I believe a woman should have the right to say what happens to her body in terms of vaccination. I am personally pro-choice when it comes to abortion, but I've said this before, like, my choice is life.
Right.
And I encourage others to do the same. But I do think at the end of the day, the woman should have that autonomy. So when you take, and we can, debate that at length for sure. I know some people at Rebel have different opinions on that, and that's cool. Like, we have to be able to talk about these things.
Definitely, yeah. And
but I believe she should have autonomy, and so
right. And in many cases, because when you are a surrogate, they inject. I'm not going to talk about the science about it or anything.
We don't.
But you inject eggs and sperm
There's
together.
like
in
hormonal
the woman.
things that make you more
this
fertile.
This is what happens. It's like this.
Science.
But a lot of times it results in twins or triplets. And what if the person who's renting your womb, let's call that, doesn't want multiple children? They just want one. Well, they can be like, abort 2, keep 1, and you have no say. You're contractually obliged to abort your baby, which can also be very high risk. That's very high risk. Like, you're going under the knife while you're pregnant, and they're gonna rip out 2 babies and kill them.
Oh my God!
Like, that is so unethical, and no one wants to talk about that. I just think that's egregious.
That's hugely.
Not to mention the fact that mothers basically have no rights. Like, these biological beings have no rights at all. Like, it's sad. Like, women are more than our uteruses. We're more than our ability to reproduce. And I just think it's kind of erasing women, this whole thing, because we're just these bodies that you use.
I've heard rumors about the idea of synthetic wombs. So it's kind of step A, where it's like, you don't really need to be fertile. You don't need to be a man and a woman. We don't need any of that. Right. What you need is a viable egg, and you need sperm. Maybe so they're talking about creating synthetic wombs, which would take away the surrogacy issue. And maybe for a lot of the points that we're talking about here, body autonomy and whatever, maybe it's more ethical.
Perhaps, yeah.
But then you're like, okay, well, what if they can make synthetic eggs?
Yeah.
What if they can make synthetic sperm and
Which
eggs?
I think that is a thing. That is a thing.
So basically women
are rendered
So
useless.
we're not going to be swimmers because we can't be as fast. So we're not going to be mothers either?
No, we're just nothing. We're pointless.
That sounds great.
So feminists has really helped us, ladies.
Thanks feminism.
You.
Yeah, that's been great.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I do think it's, okay, maybe we should also talk a little bit about the fact that like the word family and the way that's been defined, because so many people are like, oh, when are you going to start a family to a couple? And it's like, no, you are a family. You're married. You're a unit. And if you can't reproduce and you're having fertility issues, by the way, like, I sympathize with you. That's sad.
It doesn't mean you're not a family just because you can't reproduce.
Exactly. And I just think also it's important for couples to realize that it's not your right to have children. It's a privilege. And there are other ways of going about starting a family, so to speak. And I do think that should be considered before you decide to rent another woman's uterus and put her at risk and the baby.
Say is the more ethical choice like adoption?
I do think so, because that's a reaction. Yeah. Like, it's a reactive thing that is beneficial to society.
Beneficial to the kid.
And the child,
you made a really good point, and maybe we'll get to that. But it's kind of like there's an analogy between like puppy mills.
Yeah, Jennifer Lal, I will give her credit. She is like a big expert on all this stuff, so you guys should check her out. But yeah, that's the example where it came from.
Well, my example was like we stopped making puppy mills legal in Canada many, many years ago.
Yeah.
But it's sort of like surrogacy. This big industry of surrogacy is sort of like a baby mill.
Yeah.
And then you said What was their point?
Yeah, so when
her point.
when a dog has puppies, okay, the puppies need to stay with the mummy for like 8 to 12 weeks before ripping them away from their mother.
And if you've ever had a puppy, you know that. You get to see it when it's born, and then you're like, okay, I have to come back in 8 weeks.
Because it needs to be nursed, it
Yes,
needs to hang out with its
too
mom.
small.
Yeah, it's too little. So cute. Now I'm thinking about puppies. But with surrogacy, this woman gives birth, and then it's immediately ripped out of her hands. And it's like, bye.
And then it's just put in, like, in these situations where it's like a business, it's put in a room with all these other babies just like chilling, and they don't have access to the mother. And like, we know that skin on skin contact specifically from the mother is extremely psychologically beneficial to the baby.
1,000%.
Yeah. They can literally die. Babies can die if they're not touched and hugged. It sounds like it's faux science, but it's not.
No, and I believe you. I believe you. It's been like, this has been what you do with babies since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
You hand the baby to the mom.
Yeah.
And not to mention too, when this baby goes home with complete strangers, it no longer hears its mom's voice, the smell
heartbeat
of the mom,
too.
the heartbeat.
It heard its heartbeat for 8, 9, 10 months
Yeah.
inside the womb, and then all of a sudden, nothing.
And what are the long-term effects of growing like that? What are the long-term effects of that? We don't know. Because I don't think anyone wants to research it because this business is so lucrative.
Yeah. And because you'll get yelled at if you even question it, because it's like homophobic or something, or anti-woman. Like, if it turns out that I can't have kids, am I going to be immediately offended by this conversation?
Right.
I hope not. Like, I hope if I ever unfortunately get to that stage, like, I hope that I can still talk about these things with an open mind and an open heart.
Well, that's a great point though. Like, if a lot of people too, they go to the doctor, and then because they're trying to have kids and they're healthy, they're young, they're allegedly fertile, and the doctor immediately points to like IVF or like surrogacy, and it's like, well, maybe you should try to get to the root of the problem here, because so many women, I mean, like we've talked about on the show a million times, your period, your fertility, it's so sensitive. It could be like raining outside, and I'm like,
I'm late.
Yeah, exactly. You know, like anything can impact your fertility. So it's really important that we, first of all, don't just trust one expert opinion. Go to multiple doctors and get a true
before
and
you
honest...
start injecting yourself with hormones.
Yeah, exactly. And wasting money that you don't need to be spending, because it's expensive. It's for the wealthy. This is a very privileged thing.
Another thing. It's a very privileged thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the people that you're insulting by having these conversations are like rich white gay people.
Yeah.
So
small and portion. Kim Kardashian, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
And Kim Kardashian. There's the third point from the Birmingham article, legal loopholes in global markets. So there are countries, obviously, where they have like more lax laws in terms of like what human treatment and human rights. So by exporting children or importing children from these countries, you could be putting a woman and a baby in really unsafe conditions. And we know, like, probably the Ukraine probably has much laxer laws than we would here in the same, like, under the same contractual obligation.
That's a good point.
So you can be hurting a baby and the mother just by trying to save a buck or get a baby faster than if you were to do it in Canada.
Right. Or California. I think there's a huge industry in California as well, which makes sense because all these celebrities for some reason.
Why are we so infertile though? That's like we don't have any notes on that. I know that you know whenever yeah, seriously, like it's like plastics and
chemicals.
Like everything we do makes us infertile. I think so. It's like, oh, the hairspray I'm using, like, yeah, that makes you infertile. Like this pen is plastic, put it in my mouth, that makes me infertile.
Remember Olaplex? There's that article
Olaplex,
which is like a very expensive hair treatment product, and that can render you infertile. I think just there's so many things. Your perfume, I even think,
it's terrifying. So.
And that's why I think we advocate for clean beauty so often too and stuff, because you're literally putting these things on and in your body.
And your skin is an organ, and it's the largest organ in your whole body. So when you're pasting on chemical makeup, which I totally did just before coming out here.
Oh, wow. You look great.
Thank you. Worth it? We'll find out.
Just kidding.
But when you're scraping your face with chemicals and then 3 years, 5 years down the line, you're like, oh, I'm infertile. Better go buy a baby from Ukraine. It's like maybe this is a huge societal issue that we should be looking at holistically instead of just trying to find ways to make women into baby producing robots.
Yeah, and you know, we got to think about the children here even more importantly, you know, like
won't somebody think
of the children? No, but seriously,
No, seriously.
We got to think about the children.
we do.
And also, one of the things you brought to my attention today was that there's a lot of human trafficking actually associated with this industry.
That's something else I forgot about.
Yeah.
They're intertwined, and I was reading articles, and I'll find it and I'll link it. But yes, there's a huge crossover between people who have gone missing, who are suspected of being human trafficking victims, and people who are suspected of being like surrogacy, like forced surrogacy victims.
That is insane. And I feel like that's not talked about enough.
I have a quote. It's highly upsetting.
Well, that's great. We love being upset on this show.
So, oh wait, maybe that's not it. Okay, yes. So this is from the Heritage Foundation, which is one of the sources. This is a quote. The surrogacy trafficking trade used the same network that was used for domestic work and sex trade from poor regions of India into urban areas. These unmarried girls were impregnated with embryos without their consent. Others were confined in homes, and when girls tried to run away, they were caught, brought back, and beaten. Like, I have like goosebumps right now. Like, that's
disgusting.
That's like so disgusting and messed up. And obviously, like, am I trying to imply that Dave Rubin's baby is like one of these? Perhaps not, but does he know for sure?
Yeah.
Even if they say it's like, oh, it's with this LA, firm. They have, partners all over the world.
Binders
it's like
of women.
Yeah, they have binders of women.
Binders of women.
You don't really know what the seedy background stuff is going on.
And I think
really
that's
terrifying.
why it's important that we're having this chat because we should be looking into this. We can't just accept something as good because Kim Kardashian and other celebrities say it's good. Like,
and that you'll be yelled at if you question it whatsoever.
Exactly. So I do think it's important. And, maybe Dave Rubin just didn't know. He doesn't know about this. That's fine, I guess.
And maybe it's his sister. Like, maybe at the end of the day, or it can't be really because you have two sisters.
But
yeah, it's probably not. But maybe he, like, let's just give him the benefit of the doubt for this thought experiment. Like, maybe he knows two women who are like, I would be happy to do this for you. I've had 5 children of my own. I'm done. Like, I'm a great birth giver. Like, I would love to help you out here. And he was like, oh, no. And he's like, please let me do this. And he's like, okay. Like,
I think there are certain situations where maybe it would be okay. But again, they are high-risk pregnancies, so that should be considered. I think,
but all surrogacies are?
Yeah, every single pregnancy is considered high risk.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's like...
So that puts the baby and the mother in danger?
Both, yeah.
So you don't even have to be in the Ukraine or in India to be in danger?
Yeah.
That's really upsetting.
It is upsetting.
Maybe synthetic wombs are the way to go. Or we can just stop using, like, black plastics.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, every time you order food on DoorDash or Uber Eats, it comes in that black plastic, which is non-recyclable and is full of, like, cancerous, fertility-killing chemicals, and we're like, pad thai. Like, maybe let's stop that.
Yeah.
I did notice that Swish LA recently changed theirs from those black plastic to paper cardboard. So I'm really
good.
Thank you, Swish LA. I'll order a quarter chicken dinner right after.
I think that's great.
Yeah, or half chicken.
And I think we should move on. That was a lot.
I'm still fired up, but yeah, let's move on because
we got a lot more
so much to talk about.
And yeah, and by the way, just to finish, we are not experts on this topic, but I just would challenge you to look into it and do some research because it's out there. And we love you. Bye.
Yeah, stay fertile, guys.
And now for an ad read. Bitcoin 2022 is the largest Bitcoin event in the world that takes place on April 6th to 9th in Miami Beach, Florida. All 4 days will be jam-packed with exclusive content, exciting announcements, and an incredible lineup of Bitcoin speakers, artists, and leaders.
Day 1 is Industry Day for enterprising Bitcoiners who are looking to build a business or career within the ecosystem. Days 2 and 3 are General Conference Days featuring speakers like El Salvador President Nayib Bukele, who has promised a big surprise, as well as CEOs like Michael Saylor, Elizabeth Stark, Jack Mallers, Adam Back, and hundreds more. The conference caps off on the 4th day with the world's first and largest Bitcoin music festival, Sound Money Fest.
Last year's conference sold out, and this year's is on pace to be 3 times larger, so make sure you grab your tickets before it's too late. Visit b.tc/conference to learn more. Pay in Bitcoin to save and use promo code RebelNews for 10% off.
Okay.
So maybe we should talk about some fashion.
Fashion? I thought we were going to talk about the trends.
We will, but we're going to do a little
Let's do
segue.
some fashion first. Let's do a segue, a fashion segue.
This is relevant. This will be a nice, healthy segue.
The meaty segue.
So Vogue-approved author reveals why all straight women are suddenly dressing like lesbians. It's because they want to feel comfortable and powerful.
That doesn't necessarily mean you're a lesbian.
Yeah, and like, let's scroll down and look at some of the pictures here because It's like these women are
They
dressed
look
like
cute.
Ellen. Yeah, they
Yeah.
look super cute. You can still
It's just
tell
oversized blazers.
Yeah, like they look amazing.
Yeah.
Like they look like women.
Yeah, that's just just a blazer.
It's sexy. It's flattering. Like let's just let women dress comfy and like feel cute.
Like oversized blazers, that's super cute.
It's cute.
Also, it reminds me of the 80s power suit, which was like a huge thing with like the blown out hair and like I'd love I don't have the money for it, but if I did, I would be wearing matching blazer and pants every day with like a little bralette underneath.
Yeah.
Oh my
It's
god.
so cute with the right
So
shoes.
cute.
Like it's and so I just think this Vogue editor is an idiot.
They're just looking for stuff to talk about.
Yes. Speaking of someone who is, I don't even know how to segue this, the Ukrainian transgender man who conveniently identified as a woman to escape Russia's invasion.
Yeah. So okay, I got confused. So it was a naturally born woman who transitioned to be a man.
Yes.
She had not had top surgery.
No.
So
Or bottom.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when Russia was invading Ukraine, she tried to escape the
Being, what's it called?
we don't know because we're women. The draft. We're like, what's that thing?
Sorry, it's drafty in here.
Yeah. So she tried to escape, and she did. She successfully dodged the draft by reverting back to a female identity using her old ID card, which was a female ID card, and escaping with her mother. She put on nail polish. She wore her mother's top, which was girly, and she tried to speak in a more girly voice.
Yeah, she whispered.
Yeah. So
basically, you can change your gender when it's convenient for you, but if I misgender you, I can go to prison.
Yeah. That's such a good point.
Like, what the hell?
I'm pretty sure that Bill Burr had a really funny joke about this, where it's like, why do men get paid more than women? It's like, because when the boat starts sinking, who gets to get off on the lifeboats? Like, women.
And I will take that.
Yes, and so
I'm good.
I'm based on this example, I'm assuming that this individual here would also be getting on those lifeboats in that no, I'm a man, I've always been a man, I'll go down with the ship.
Yeah.
No, hand me my AK-47, I'm gonna defend my country. Nope.
Yeah, biology must matter. Hey? Also interesting to note, everyone is trans?
Everyone?
Everyone's trans.
Oh.
Washington Post floats bizarre defense of biologically male swimmer. Do you mind if I just read this quote?
Please do.
I think you're really gonna be edified by this quote. So the author is Sally Jenkins. I hate to tell you, but in a way, everyone is trans. As writer T. Cooper observed, all of us in life's competitive arena are on the way to becoming someone profoundly different than we were. And keeping score is just a way to track the arc of a person from youth to prime to past it. What? If you subtract the aim of becomingness from competition just because you're afraid of Leah Thomas and make it strictly about the chance to win a prize, then you might as well go to an amusement park and shoot a squirt gun at a clown face because it will have about as much meaning.
Well, first of all, that's a really fun activity,
Yeah.
and you can win some cool prizes.
You want to win.
You want to shoot the clown.
But you
Who hasn't
wanna
done that?
win.
Yeah, you want to win. There's a lot there. What the heck is the act of becomingness? What did she say?
That's what you're becoming.
Okay.
What? I don't know.
So technically, a transgender person is not transgender because they're becoming something. Just like anyone, regardless of their gender identity, we're all constantly evolving and in flux. So that's her argument. So if I'm like, okay, well now I'm trans, it's like, well, you're trans because you could change in
And I'm trans.
trans.
So basically, if you're trans, you're not trans.
Yeah, and
what she's saying.
And she's just saying we're all evolving, so everyone's trans. It's like, okay, so then trans people are not
They're trans.
They're trans.
We're not. No one's
What
trans.
if they evolve
Everyone's
into being
trans?
their original gender later on? Like, that's okay. But then also we had to give women's gold medals in the meantime during their transition.
They called us bleeders in the meantime.
It's so confusing.
She also claims that the science regarding whether biological males have a physical advantage over women remains unsettled. She said bone density doesn't matter.
Oh my gosh. You know, there's few things I hate more than the saying the science is settled. We've heard that a lot through the pandemic.
The science is literally never.
The science is never settled. Let's not say the science is settled on bone density. However, it's really looking like it matters. Like we have different hip angles
Yeah.
so that women can give birth. Our bones are larger, lung size, lung capacity, which is really important for swimming, one might say. Muscle density. The size of the brain is also different. Women have smaller, more compact brains, meaning that our synapses fire faster and we are able to come to conclusions faster. And like, you notice that. Do you ever notice that where like your husband will be doing something, you're like, I already thought of that like 6 seconds ago.
Yeah.
Like,
We're basically like psychics.
yeah, but men have larger brains,
Yeah.
and so yes, sometimes they can be slower, but they're also like capable of other things that women are not. Like these are just facts.
And they're beautiful biological differences that should be celebrated. But no. So yeah. Should we blitz?
Yeah, let's blitz.
Blitz, please.
Blitz, please.
Let's have some fun, you know?
Yeah,
It's
we've
been-
had a lot of heavy topics, and thank you for staying with us.
Yeah.
We're gonna have some fun now.
Yes, it's going to be,
I mean, who knows?
it could be devastating.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We'll see. All right, first blitz.
wanna start? Yeah.
Yes, let's do it. Pull up our first article, would you please? Mother, 34, is left red-faced after drunkenly ordering an Uber X to Ukraine to help out. Thankfully, the £4,700 payment bounced because of the insufficient funds in her account.
So was Uber literally willing to drive from the UK to the Ukraine?
Yeah, I'm so confused. Like, what
accept the
was her point there? She was going to send from the UK an Uber to the Ukraine? Like,
She was going to drive herself.
you can't even drive. I guess there's a ferry.
There is ocean though.
Yeah, there's ocean.
There's ocean.
It would be a really long drive.
Yeah, and Uber was willing to do it? Like that's what I don't understand.
Yeah, the app isn't like, no, this is,
A million miles.
yeah, like you're going through like 9 countries
And you're
to
crossing
get
an
there.
ocean. But we'll do it for the money. I guess it's tough times financially.
Yeah, worked out.
Young fitness pro shares what life is like married to a porn star and sex coach who sleeps with different women every week and how she manages her jealousy. She says that she feels very comfortable with his line of work so long as he's getting regular STI checks and is wearing a condom where possible.
Oh, not always?
It should be always.
Yeah, girl.
This is a disaster waiting to
I
happen.
feel like that guy convinced her that this is a really good idea for her. And she's like, yeah, it makes sense. He wears a condom when possible.
Yeah, no.
Girl.
This is a disaster
I don't
waiting to
usually
happen.
suggest people get divorced.
My note was Jesus come back. So that is
Help us.
Help.
Okay, moving on. Next is influencer 22 who was left scarred and temporarily blind after tattooing freckles on her face shocks followers by going under the needle again to have her lips inked with permanent makeup. Girl,
Learn from your mistakes.
oh my God. First of all, getting freckles tattooed is so insulting to gingers.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's silly. You don't
It's
need that.
silly.
You can just draw them on. It takes like 2 seconds if you really want. If you really, really
Like
want.
when freckles aren't in vogue, you're going to be putting makeup on to cover them.
Yeah. Wait, freckles?
They were for a
should
bit.
always
They
be in
were.
vogue.
I remember people were doing like makeup tutorials of like how to splatter your face with like fake freckles, and it's like cute. So as soon as you sweat, you're gonna look
look
great.
like you're gonna have tears.
Yeah, it's gonna look cute. Let's just let people have freckles who have freckles.
Yeah.
Is my point.
And also, you're 22. Stop getting
Oh my gosh.
like procedures done. Okay, your face is like fine.
It's probably better than fine.
It's probably perfect, and you're ruining yourself. Okay.
So this is the best one.
Dog frantically tries to eat magazine pics of food in hilarious video. If you scroll down, can we play the video?
Let's play
It's
the video.
hilarious. It's so cute.
It kind of makes me sad because I want him to eat.
I know he's so cute.
hungry.
He deserves the food.
Yeah.
It looks pretty real.
It looks so real. Oh my God, what is that, a dumpling?
He's cute. Oh, he's cute.
Oh, he's so cute. He's so frantic.
He's like,
Somebody
"Where
feed
is
that
it?"
little boy.
I know. He's clearly hungry.
That was like some high def food though, so I don't blame him. I probably would have tried to take a bite as well.
Yeah, I think so too. It made me hungry. So next one.
What do we have? Sorry, my papers.
No,
are all
you're
messed up. Is it this one?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So next blitz. All my relationships have ended horribly. Should I change my ways? Yes.
I think that's it. I think we nailed it.
We nailed that.
Why everyone you know suddenly has main character syndrome? Like,
What else would you have?
Yeah, you're the main character in your life? Like, isn't life a movie?
Are you not the main character in your own life?
Yeah, like I'm starring in the movie of my life.
Yeah.
And
I genuinely don't believe anyone else has a brain or a mind. Like I'm a solephist, so I believe I'm the only sentient mind in the universe.
she's also autosexual.
Yeah, autosexual.
But you know, unless you're like a narcissist, it's okay to think, hey, this is my life and I'm living it. You know,
You should be the main character.
Yeah.
You don't want to be a narcissist about
No.
it, but
healthy balance.
yeah.
as with anything.
Get a grip, people. All right. AOC's links of fossil fuel extraction to the murder of Indigenous women. Why it doesn't work. Well, this is Daily Wire, so I'm sure that Ben Shapiro or whoever wrote that really nailed it.
Yeah, so it is important to note that a lot of these environmental protesters have been extremely, extremely violent in their protests. So who's the violent one, AOC? Is it these fossil fuel companies, or is it the progressive people who are protesting them?
Well, there was some vandalism done on a construction site. It was actually during the truckers' convoy protest when
in
the
BC.
when the Emergencies Act was invoked to protect people from the mean old truckers. But at the same time, in British Columbia, a group of I believe it was Aboriginal protesters went with sledgehammers, and they smashed up a bunch of construction equipment. Now they weren't violent towards humans, but can you even imagine if truckers had sledgehammers and smashed a mailbox of any kind or anything, like anything was smashed, it would have been game over. There would have been peppers. Well,
there already was.
There was.
Peaceful protesters. Imagine if they had actually made any mistakes.
Yeah.
No,
so
it's a great point.
I don't know what AOC's on about, but she's probably wrong.
Yeah, she's typically wrong. You look cute, though.
Cute.
I moved into my work cubicle to get free rent, but got busted and fired. Well, maybe you shouldn't have advertised it on TikTok.
Is that what happened?
Yes. He posted 2 videos on TikTok. It's like, if you're going to do it, you got to be a little more
sly.
subtle.
That's the thing. I love these people who post themselves like breaking the law, and then it's like, then they were caught because they posted it on TikTok and videotape. Like, don't videotape your crimes.
Yeah.
It makes it harder to solve them.
It's like rule number 1 of being a criminal.
Also, these companies pay you so little that they actually don't leave you with any other option.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So if there's a shower there,
But you could try to get a new job.
A new job.
You could ask for a raise.
Ask for a raise.
Start there and then
do some
a crime.
part-time work
No,
on
just kidding.
Fiverr.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Next one. This is why wearing a mask makes you hotter. New study. I'm going to ask you a question right now. We'll do our own study. Do masks make people hotter?
Well, I was thinking about this. Maybe people think this because it's covering up your ugly face. That's the only thing I can think of. It's like anonymity.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, maybe he's hot. You takes it off, and you're
you're
like,
like-
it's Pete Davidson.
He's got a jangle tooth. Yeah. No. I'm going to just say, according to our study of 2. No, they don't. So that's a new study for you. They do not.
And the science is settled.
The science is settled.
Grammys 2022 host Trevor Noah says award shows can be political, but should they?
No.
Should they, Trevor? And also, never trust anyone who has 2 first names.
He's actually becoming more based, which is funny because he's just saying things that centrists / conservatives have been saying for years, and people are now like, oh yeah, he makes some good points, and it's like, almost like we were all called Nazis for saying that 5 years ago, but Trevor Noah is now saying it. Also, no, they should not be political. People are watching for entertainment, not me, because I was going to say have a life.
She does.
That's a bit of a stretch, but I have better things to do, like play with my dog's ears. They're very
That's
silky.
true. It's a cute
I'd
dog.
literally
You've seen
rather
her.
watch my dog's ears flop in the wind than watch the Grammys.
Plus, we can just look at pictures of their dresses later.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah, and we will show them on this show.
Okay, last but not least, Pete Davidson drops out of Jeff Bezos. Okay, again, Pete Davidson drops out of Jeff Bezos's Blue Origin space flight.
Okay.
Well, Pete, he doesn't want to leave that big old warm bosom of Kim Kardashian.
I think so too. I think maybe he's scared she'll have moved on when he returns.
She's like, are you still in orbit? Because I had dinner rezzos. I guess I'll go with Kanye.
Kanye bought me a really expensive coat, so I had to go back with him.
Yeah.
I'd say yes to that.
And maybe he thinks that Kanye has so much power that he can just be send it out of orbit. His shuttle's gonna go phew.
Maybe
bye,
he's
Pete.
friends with Elon, and
Maybe.
Elon's at home.
Yeah.
He's people
There's,
think he's playing video games, but he's controlling the spacecraft.
Yeah, and it's bye, Pete, bye. Oh, that means there's an opening at SNL though if he gets lost in space.
We are available.
We're a duo. We
Yes.
will not work alone.
No.
But I will secretly work alone.
I will send her on Jeff Bezos' flight.
I will destroy her career.
You're contractually obliged to me. No. All right, folks. That was the show. Thank you so much for listening. This show is available to Rebel News Plus subscribers every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time.
And you can also listen on all your favorite streaming platforms. I listen on Spotify. You can do whatever you want. And you can always watch the previous week's episode for free don't even worry about it, the whole episode with video and everything for free on our website, right?
Yeah.
Okay, there you
On
go.
Mondays.
On Mondays. So
Yes.
Monday at 7, 5?
Doesn't matter the time.
Monday at 5 or 7.
Whenever they post it.
Whenever the web team posts it, you can watch last week's episode for free.
Yes.
Last week we discussed, what did we discuss last week?
Oh, man.
So much good stuff.
So
you know
much
what?
good
You
stuff.
tell me.
Yeah, tell us. And tell us your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you. Anyway, we'll see you guys next week. There was a fluff there. That's why I tossed it out of the way. It looked like Pete
got it.
Davidson. Yeah. Anyway, we'll see you guys next week. Love you.
Bye.
Oh, wait. Follow us on Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and Twitter. So we'll...
And TikTok.
And TikTok. It's down
They're
there.
going to go here.
It's
right
there.
there.
Okay, we love you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.